Okay, in the previous step, we learned what is the inheritance in C# Unity and how we can define it. Okay? And in this step, we wanted to talk about another definition which called polymorphism. It is a kind of use case of inheritance in C# in Unity. For example, in the past, we talked about the inheritance, and for example, we have a big class which called characters, and two subclasses which called friend and enemy. The statistics of the characters and class will be shared with friend and enemy. Okay, and in the soldier and tank, we will inherit the statistics from friend, and in the aircraft and boat classes, we will get an information from enemy. Okay, so a subclass can be parent. A child for the characters can be parents for soldier and tank. Okay, but imagine we want to count all objects right now in the scene. For example, we want to know how many friends and how many enemies we already have in the scene. The first solution is okay, guys, let's find all objects which have tagged to the soldier, and after count the all objects which call tank and aircraft and boat, and combine all of these objects together, and that's it. We found the number of the characters in the scene. But we can say how many objects we have in the scene which call which have tagged to the friend and enemy, or even bigger, tagged to the characters. In fact, we will call all the characters in the scene, okay? Not by one, all of these objects, okay? In the C# script, we have a function which called onTriggerInter. Okay, onTriggerInter, it is a function for whenever you want to touch an object, or you want to make a specific area in the scene which you want to do something when a player or another character or object reach that area. Okay, so we will use this function. But I don't want to talk about untrigger. I want to talk about collider. If you take a look at the component of physics of Unity, we have different kinds of colliders: box collider, a sphere collider, capsule collider, mesh collider, wheel collider, train collider. Okay? But for the function of untriggered inter, we don't know what is the kind of collider which has touched of that object. For example, we have defined, imagine this cube, and here is trigger. Okay, this is our object, and this is our trigger. But we don't know in the untriggered inter which object wanna go inside this trigger. It can be, for example, a sphere, you know, right now it is inside the trigger. It can be sphere collider, it can be, for example, oh, sorry, it can be, for example, mesh collider, you know? If we want to call them one by one, we need to say, okay, untrigger inter box collider, untrigger inter mesh collider, untrigger inter sphere collider, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But it's not good. The best way is call the parent class collider. So in the collider, we will say any object which has collider children classes, such as box collider, sphere collider, or mesh collider, or whatever, we can do something with this guy. It is an example of this inheritance in the C sharp. It can be for parameters like this, it can be for classes, it can be for everything. Okay, let's go to the next step.